Welcome. I'm Laura Torres from Blue Star Careers. Thank you for watching, for supporting. Today, we have a great topic to discuss career opportunities, but most importantly, long term career portability for military spouses. Today, we're going to be talking two incredible opportunities for future financial driven career members. That's right. We're calling to all the future accredited financial counselors. Yes, today we have an insightful discussion on how you can support your community, build a strong career, but most importantly, always be on demand regarding a portable. We have a team right saying because I'm very excited about this opportunity. But first, let me share with you some insightful things about career situations that take place perhaps in how it all affects us in our community. Financial challenges, of course, as you know, unfortunately are not unfamiliar to military families. The data from our 2023 annual military lifestyle survey says that just released by the fact yesterday, releases that 31% of active duty military family respondents reportedly they are just getting by, and you are finding it very difficult to get by also when it comes to being for active duty military family respondents. They're experiencing very high stress when it comes to their financial uh, situation. 30% of them reported that underemployment and unemployment is a huge contributor. So now, of course, here through Blue Star Careers, we're always looking for the opportunities to make more sustainable and bring you career opportunities that will help it a more better well-being of your military family life, your transition, and help you support and stay engaged in future military life. But anyway, without further ado, let me share with you who we have here with us today. We have a really great opportunity for military families, for military spouses, financial accredited counselors, and we're going to talk to the right team today who's going to get us closer to those opportunities. So let's get started. That's right. Thank you once again for joining in, for supporting. And let me just make sure we have sound and that we have plenty of audience. We are streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on our digital community as well as on LinkedIn. So if you are one of those viewers who is watching, please tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to send you a shout out. We'd love to be able to recognize your community, but also follow up with you and say thank you for supporting. Today, we are talking about the FINRA Foundation Military Spouse Fellowship that is now open, and it will stay open until April 15th. So definitely calling all those and driven future financial counselors who are here and want to support their future career trajectory. Today, we have our colleagues, and let me just make sure that it's changing here. We have and we have Valerie, who will be here talking to us about the opportunities. And slowly, we're bringing him back on the stage. Valerie, Valerie, there we are, team. They're right there with the hot spot. Uh, uh, and so to bit about your career trajectory. But since I have you on the screen, I mean, let's just dive into the discussion, right? Because we're having a little bit of behind the scenes internet, a sort of a slowdown on my end. So if you are watching and you're getting this a little of the slower replay, please just post your questions. We'll make sure that we get those addressed for you towards the end. And just a little bit to share about our team that we have here. We have Valerie and we have Heather Baker, Valerie Richards, and I'm going to have them introduce a little bio for me to share with you guys. But since we have connectivity issues, I'm just going to go straight to them and put them on the spot. Welcome to Blue Star to this webinar. Thank you to our webinar. And so would you mind kind of introduce yourselves and a little bit about yourself, bio as you, but of course, technology sometimes is not a very good friend of ours today.
Sure, I can jump in. My name is Valerie Richards. I'm the Education Programs Manager here at AFCPE. I'm also a Military Spouse Fellow.
And I can introduce myself. I'm Heather Baker. I am the Education Coordinator at AFCPE. I administer the FINRA Foundation Military Spouse Fellowship, and I was also lucky enough to participate in that program in its inaugural year in 2006. So I'm excited to have participated in that program and now get to come back and administer the program and talk about it with you, Laura.
Excellent. Thank you, Heather. And let's just dive in real quick and ask you challenges are definitely part of that is not strange to our community. But tell us a little bit about the FINRA Foundation Fellowship. You know, how does this work? How did you become to be part of it? Particular personal experience.
Okay, sorry. I can jump in a little bit about my story.
Sure, Valerie. Go ahead, Valerie.
So it's funny. It actually, this month marks 19 years of being a military spouse. So I think my story might resonate with some of the viewers today. It was about 9 years ago. I am trying to figure out, who am I? How do I fit in? Where am I going? And I see a job description that sounded like something I might be interested in. Now, that job description required an AFC. At the time, I wasn't familiar with the whole AFC, Accredited Financial Counselor. So I went to the website, the AFCP website, and researched it a little bit. And come to find out, it is accredited by the NCCA, National Commission of Certifying Agencies, which means it's held to a rigorous standard. Employers nationwide recognize it. So that stood out to me. It was something that would be portable. As I continued to look, lo and behold, the FINRA Investor Education Foundation had a fellowship for military spouses that also included Coast Guard spouses. I'm a Coast Guard spouse, so I was really excited. I applied to see what happened. I got the fellowship, and I will tell you, I not only got a certification, I received so much support, continue to get support, and am now a group of the most amazing military spouses that have helped me with my career, with my life. It really is so much more than just a certification. But now I have a career path that is portable, and I'm super grateful for the fellowship.
Excellent. That's wonderful. That is really great. And thank you for jumping in. And again, I apologize. The internet this morning is up and down on my end. So this is your time, ladies, Valerie, and of course, Heather. Please chime in, jump on, and lead the discussion. We really want to know how this fellowship it could really change the trajectory as it has changed your own career pathway and trajectory. And we want to make sure that we inform all our military spouses. Everyone applied is it's open now through the 15th. But first, let's hear about from Heather what um, what her fellowship in the Fellowship Foundation is all about in her own.
Thank you, Laura. So I wanted to talk about the impetus of the FINRA Foundation Military Spouse Fellowship. Thank you. So sorry. The FINRA Foundation Military Spouse Fellowship was launched by the FINRA Investor Education Foundation in 2006, and I was honored enough to be a part of that inaugural class. The foundation looked at some of the data that they were receiving from military spouses and from the family members and really identified some primary concerns that they thought that they might be able to address with this program. The first concern, as Laura already alluded to, was the underemployment of spouses. And it wasn't simply not being able to get a full-time job, but it was about doing something that was meaningful, that had purpose, and that also built upon some of the education that they received simply being military spouses and living in that lifestyle. The second issue that Valerie mentioned was the portability. So a lot of certifications have state requirements. Therefore, if a military spouse has a certification and they have to relocate or PCS, they may find themselves having to recertify in the state that they're in. We're fiercely proud of the fact that we're nationally accredited. So this certification, once it's earned, travels with you, and you don't have to recertify, you don't have to retest, you don't have to meet that standard in that state because of that national umbrella. The third issue was looking at some of the unique struggles that military members and their families were facing financially. And as we know, having a ready force and having people with the best well-being they can, whether that's mental, spiritual, physical, and certainly financial, was critical. So what about the idea then of training eligible military spouses to be able to speak to those service members and their families, having already lived or are currently living that lifestyle, knowing those requirements? That automatically breaks down barriers, and that automatically can create kind of an informal camaraderie. You're talking with somebody that's familiar with how convoluted DFAS can be at times with the pay system. They know that. You don't have to educate them about that. They're already there walking that walk for you. And the most important thing that the foundation looked at was providing really competent, certified professionals that could educate or that could counsel or could guide in personal finances, that eliminated some of the fear of scam or a sketchy person giving you advice about your money. And so again, that certification umbrella and those other endorsements that we possess, where we've worked within DOD and we've worked with those spouses in those communities, really set this program up to be a solid start and a solid possibility for certification to continue forward.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for breaking that all down for us. Now, I do have a question: is who can apply or qualifies for this fellowship?
Well, and let me back up just for a second, please, Laura. So after they identified these issues, and that came from data and surveys and reference information they got, they wanted to address that. So what they started to do, the foundation started to do, was to offer the qualifying military spouses, and I'll answer your question about what qualifying means. They wanted to offer at no cost to them the opportunity to earn the Accredited Financial Counselor certification. So the FINRA Foundation generously funds the costs of the program, and that includes the textbooks, live webinars, online study guide, and 2 attempts at the professional certification exam, which is one of the requirements that I'll get into in a bit. And so, what do we mean by qualifying spouses? This is kind of in the title. It's the Military Spouse Fellowship. So, military spouses that include current, surviving spouses, or spouses of retirees of all the uniformed service members. And that includes the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, yes, Coast Guard, Space Force. And this is part of where it gets exciting for me because it also incorporates the National Guard and any of those reserve components. So that broadens the opportunity. And we incorporate eligible spouses whose members also work for the U.S. Public Health Service and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So there's a couple caveats. The first one is that spouses must be registered in the DEERS system. So, and that makes them DEERS eligible, and that helps with the verification of this process. The last thing under the qualifying, Laura, that I wanted to mention is there are some spouses who may have perfectly fit that entire criteria that I just mentioned, but they are not eligible. And there's a few eligibility requirements. One of them is if you are currently a federal employee, you are unfortunately, even if you're a military spouse, DEERS card eligible, you are not eligible for this program. And those that currently possess an active securities license or that are registered investment advisors or brokers are also not eligible. So I know that you have our website link, and that will be put up for them. There is an entire section that outlines the eligibility and the ineligibility more specifically than what I just alluded to. Thank you.
Thank you. That is really, really great. Thank you so much for that. Now, I know that you've done a lot of great qualifications, the fellowship, but what does the process look like when someone goes on and applies? What can I expect when I submit my info all the way towards the end or getting a response?
Okay. Okay, I will try to keep this brief, but we'll start with the application. So the application only opens once a year. It opens typically March 1st, and this year it will close April 15th. And that's really critical to know because we won't accept late applications. The application is accessible through the website that Laura put in the chat. And once you're in the application, it is an electronic application. It starts out with the basic information regarding you as the applicant. It also has a section that verifies you as a military spouse. We ask some typical things about your educational or professional background. But one of the things that is most important and is key for those of us on the team is that we have essay questions. We have 4 essay questions. And the reason those are critical is because we want to find people that are passionate and that people that have a strong desire and people that are kind of gritty that are going to work through this process once they're selected. So the essay questions may take you some thought. I suggest sometimes that you maybe start a Word doc and write your answers there. You're only allowed 250 words per question, but this is your moment to sparkle and to shine and to be who you are authentically and demonstrate to us or explain to us why you want this opportunity and quite honestly why you feel that you're most deserving. Um, it's important to note that the application is also reviewed multiple times and it's reviewed by real people. So we don't take the application and scan it. We're not looking for keywords like you would at other levels of scholarship or fellowship opportunities. We have real people through multiple rounds of review that pick the cream of the crop. So after the application is submitted, we have the multiple review rounds. Now you'll notice that the application closes April 15th, but we won't announce who's selected until toward the end of June because we do want to take the time and let our review teams sort through these applications and be able to present for final review the best of the best, those that we see that really have demonstrated or explained to us the passion and their desire. So after that, the applicants are notified, and we do notify both ways. So we do notify if you've been selected, but we also let you know if you haven't been selected. That way we don't have people waiting out there, wondering what their status is. So we do let you know both ways. And then the program officially starts on September 1st. But between the time that a candidate may be notified that they're a fellow and September 1st, there is a lot of communication that happens. That communication includes shipping the textbooks that are a part of the curriculum. It includes onboarding. As I mentioned, there's an online study guide, and we want to be able to get you into that system. Some of the other digital resources that we have, we allow then the communication about how to do those things, where to find them, and what you need to do so that by September 1st, you are ready to go. After applicants have been selected and then onboarded, the primary focus for the first 8 weeks is an 8-week webinar review session. And that is both a live session, but it's also recorded. I saw a question about what if you're stationed overseas? And part of the reason we record those is because while we offer those 8-week review session at 2 different times, typically a daytime and an evening, if you are in Korea or someplace pretty far flung, it still may be 2 a.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning for you to join us. So we have those webinar reviews facilitated by our amazing instructor. Because we've done this program since 2006, we've been able to tweak it and refine it, and we continue to evolve it. So while it is a self-paced and self-study model, we do provide direction that includes a syllabus, and it's structured for the 8 weeks. And that syllabus gives you the reading assignments in the textbooks. It gives you the corresponding modules in the study guide, and it allows you to prepare and be as confident as you can be when you get to a webinar review session. So that webinar review, it's really critical because it's exactly that. It's a review. Because it is a self-paced, self-study program, It will not necessarily be retaught. All of the material that you've reviewed each week will have a high level look and some things to point out, and usually some tips and tricks to help you prepare for the exam. We have found that not one size fits all, and you have 3 years to complete the fellowship. But we have discovered that those that dive right in, I'll steal Laura's phrase from her, and engage in the syllabus, the study guide, the webinars, and get through and kind of grind through that 8 weeks, they actually have a higher rate of passing the exam than those that wait or maybe kick the can down the road. However, we do want to incorporate the fact that not everybody studies the same way. And you may be in the middle of a PCS when those reviews start. All of those materials and those opportunities, if you're selected, are available to you the entire 3 years of the fellowship. So I think it can sound like there's a lot of bits and pieces, but we have put it together in a cohesive manner that allows you to adapt that to the way that best works for you.
That is wonderful. And you saw my face when you said the 3 years, right? You have up to 3 years, and I went, oh, right, 3 years. But you are so correct, Miss Heather. It those that dive into a new certification, a new career path, and really create a progressive or an intentional plan to dive into their learning and restructuring on how they're going to pivot and really grab on the next career portability option could be very successful. And obviously you guys are great ambassadors of this fellowship, this program. It has worked for you guys. It has definitely created some incredible opportunities and has given you now the a chance to also recreate and lay down those foundations for future military spouses of all branch of services from many backgrounds that could take advantage of this fellowship. And I'm very excited that a lot of members could potentially take this one and take advantage. Now, you described the 3 years, and thank you so much for stepping in, of course, also as well, and speaking through the whole process. You spoke about this could take up to 3 years. Once you're done, once you complete your certification, obviously in your case is different because now you are a little bit more face forward in leading the program and the management, the outreach. But those that become accredited and become a financial counselors, then what happens next? What do they do? What does their career look like? Can you describe what that looks like for those that are out in the field doing the work?
Absolutely. A part of the reason that 3 years sounds like a long time and you're given a lot of leeway is that while the education and the exam are important, there's also an experience hour component that is required of the fellows. And to describe the experience hour component is like almost if you think about an internship or a practicum opportunity, this is a really intensive program. And I don't want to dissuade anybody from applying and participating in the program, but I do want to set the expectation that 3 years is not a long time to do the education and to gain that experience so that you are comfortable, whether it's educating somebody about first time car buying or teaching a class about home ownership. But you also may choose in that career path to be a counselor. And that means you're dealing with real people who have real feelings and real money issues. And so we require that experience hour component of 1,000 hours. Now, we do have some look back period allowances, and we do provide amazing support and resources for the experience hour opportunity. We also have a variety of ways that you can get those experience hours, but it is going to take some face to face. Can't all do it virtually. We'll need to leave the house time to accomplish that. So I want to set that up front so that there's not a misconception that you will be able to spend 3 years behind your laptop and accomplish this. But because that's required, because it is so important that you are as skilled as possible to pursue those careers. Now, to Laura's point about what are those opportunities, some of those opportunities are, of course, military base, military installation, or military affiliated financial counseling, whether that's credit crisis counseling. Hey, we're struggling, we can't make this happen. Whether that's how can we do better, whether that's looking forward to the future, what do we want to accomplish and how can we get there. There's the educational opportunities. And certainly, I still learn about everything. What does the new GI Forever mean? What does the VA guarantee for home buyers means? What are the minutiae or the details? So some of our certified professionals really find their niche in instructing and in providing those educational opportunities. I think that one of the really exciting things that has changed since I started in 2006 are the variety of entities that are looking to hire accredited counselors. For example, employee assistance programs have really looked at the fact that not only is physical, mental, spiritual health critical and creates a better employee and an employee environment, but certainly financial help, whether it's direction, whether it's correction, whether it's assistance with fixing a credit card boo boo, whatever it is. So they have incorporated that financial component into the EAPs. We're also seeing value in court systems, whether it's CASA advocates for children, whether it's unfortunately a bankruptcy, whether it's looking at what real numbers are for child support. Every state has a worksheet, but those of us who have ever worked in that realm know that they don't always cover everything. And if we can get it closer to right the first time, we're preventing that future litigation or that future consternation for that family that's recovering from that. There are
Wow.
there are opportunities even within social services. So one of my AFC friends is currently working with foster children that are aging out of the system. They may not have had some of that exposure to what savvy finances are or how to manage a budget. And so I think, without sounding too corny, the sky's the limit in adding this certification to your toolbox.
I said, wow, what you were describing, all the different possibilities, because I mean, you are so correct. I don't think we looked beyond maybe the installation or supporting our military community, but there's so many spaces out there, so many communities, diverse settings that we can really make an impact. And that is such an incredible way that you just described all the different possibilities. Like you said, the sky is the limit. um, and I think if I may just go back to my active duty sort of a years as a spouse as well, I think every time you relocate to a new installation, you probably need a little of somewhat of a financial coaching session. You should. Now I think you should get together with an accredited financial counselor in your installation to understand what the new dynamics of that community could be, right? uh, Maybe what my expenses were in one state may not be the same as the other one, what to expect, all the different things that
Mm,
happen with the move. So
good
anyway, I
point.
just started thinking, right? All these are the different things. So thank you so much for all of that great insight, Heather, and opportunity to explore more options. And I just want to encourage, of course, our members, if you are watching this or you watch the replay, please put them in the chat so that we can bring them up. brighter and highlight them for Heather and for Valerie to share a little bit further, or we can also answer then, of course, respond to your questions later on. But our goal right now, of course, is just really to encourage you to go to the FINRA Foundation Military Spouse Fellowship application and submit your application, or at least get all the details that you need. Educate yourself on what is needed. You have through the 15, but don't wait past the 15, of course, to apply because it will close. And then there will be a whole nother year, for you waiting to reapply. And as Heather described, there's so many great opportunities for you to be able to do through this program and to take advantage and to, most importantly, create a really portable career. Um, so thank you for everyone who has supported and stuck with us watching. Really, really cool opportunity for everyone. I do want to get also just we're getting closer to the wrap of the time, and I do want to send a quick shout out to Rana, also Rosie, who we're watching on our sponsors community. And so we're watching here through different other communities. And Patricia Webb, she was on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for watching as well. We have some members on LinkedIn that are watching, but post where you're watching. We would love to be able to send you a shout out over in your respective communities as well. So, and then you can also watch the replay, of course, at the LinkedIn and of Blue Star Careers neighborhood, where we will have additional resources. And if you don't have social or don't have the Facebook, but you have the LinkedIn, or you don't have the LinkedIn, but you have the just go to our Blue Star Careers neighborhood where we'll have the link and the follow-up resources for you as well. So to make sure that you don't miss out on this opportunity. So I'm going to turn it back on to Heather and of course to Valerie. We're going to give Valerie a chance to maybe say something because I know we'll be very excited just diving into the opportunity. But Valerie, as we get closer, we're closing up here. We get closer to the time of this webinar, which has gone so fast and so much rich content here. What would you say is our call to action? What are some of those great details or just a simple, just movement that we can do to support FINRA, but also this AFC, the AFC program, AFCPE program, as well as all of the great initiatives that you ladies are involved in? We'll start with you, Valerie.
Thank you, Laura. And I'm going to jump in and say the best thing you can do is apply to the program. We need our military spouse fellows in the program, our AFCs going out there, getting those hours in. And I just want to say, if you feel hesitant about applying, I was a career changer. I came from a different field. I was nervous. And I was also a spouse. I know can I add one more thing to my plate? That 1,000 hours might sound like a lot. And to me, when that came up, it was like, how am I going to do this? And I was telling Heather, the 1,000 hours turned out to be one of the greatest gifts for me because it forced me, we PCS'd, of course, I'm sure many of the people applying will be mid-PCS, mid-move. It forced me when I got there to connect with my community, to reach out, to get to know people. And one of the greatest gifts was my husband was on the ship. I ended up at NMCRS, Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. I found the greatest group. I was able to put the skills I was learning into practice. They actually had a stipend for childcare. So some of those long months, I still got to have this adult interaction, these learning things. It was really such a nice addition to my life. When I first got the application, I was like, I don't know. I almost talked myself out of it. So I encourage you to apply. And it really is. You are supported. It is a wonderful group. Reach out to fellow military spouses in the program. They are more than willing to help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And yes, don't be scared of the change. Sometimes it's a really wonderful way. It's a whole new path, but it's a great redirection or detour that just get you closer to so many endless possibilities, as Heather described it earlier also. And I'm going now to Heather and ask her, Heather, to close us up, what will be also your call to action in the movement and that just last message that we can share through this webinar to our military spouse community who maybe hesitant to say, well, maybe I can wait for the next year? What will be your one biggest takeaway that you have learned from this experience?
The first thing is that COVID taught us that not everything is forever. So I wouldn't kick this can down the road because it's not predictable. Though we have a history since 2006, we're not guaranteed. And so the second thing I would say is dare to dream and dare to be different. I liked how you said that, Laura. So if you're even thinking about this, then please dare to dream for you. Dare to tap into that passion and don't be afraid that it's different than what you've done before.
Excellent, thank you. And I have a question here in the one of the communities that is not showing up here in our chat. But if a spouse, if a member applied previously, like let's say last year or the year before, can they reapply it again? How often can they reapply it? You know, sometimes certain jobs they tell you apply, but then you have to wait 6 months or you have to wait a whole year, or what's the process is. If you apply before, you didn't meet those qualifications at that year, but now you're feeling like I got this, I'm more focused, I want to reapply it again. Can I do that?
Absolutely. And we have so many of our fellows. You have to remember that this is a really competitive pool of people. These are people that were brought to a table by a passion, right? So they weren't forced to be here. They had that desire. And so that makes it a very competitive pool. So we encourage you to apply again. And we even have a question on the application. Have you applied before? If so, how many times? So you are not dinged for doing that. And because you may not have been selected when you applied previously, again, this is competitive and we are looking for those authentic, very, very passionate people willing to give back with that financial perspective to their military communities.
Excellent, thank you. um, and then one other question is, how hard was it for you, Valerie? How hard was it for you to do a career change in a whole field that you were probably not like familiar with? How hard was it to grasp into that new change, a new path?
There was definitely a learning curve and getting out of that comfort zone. But I'll tell you, once again, it's such a supportive community. I had help all along the way. The military spouses were amazing. And the other thing that helps is everything you're learning with this program, you're looking around going, everybody should know this. I want to, everybody needs to know this. And the passion just comes because you want to share the information. Finance touches all of our lives. Whether you're currently in it as a job, you still deal with finances, right? So you just learn the tools to do it even better and share the stuff that you've learned with your community that helps your community. So it was a little bit of a shift, but it's a really amazing community, supportive, and there's so many people there to help you along the way. So don't be nervous.
Yes, don't be nervous. It's like anything, right? You have to start slowly, but then once you're in it, you definitely got to look at the most positive and the most, um, you know, the best ways that you can service. Most importantly, this is a very service driven role, and so you're giving back, but also you're learning and you're giving back to yourself by
Yes.
empowering others. And I think that's where a great career and work satisfaction will come in. And so just really quick, I also like to acknowledge and say hello to Emily, Dominica, and of course, all our veterans out there in Ohio. Thank you so much for supporting a hero. Thank you. And then on our LinkedIn community, I want to be able to say hello to our Tracy. Tracy, by the way, they do some really great programming out there at STEP, Support the Enlisted. Chris Brandt, Chris Newson, as well as Patricia. Of course, we already said that. Jenny, Stephen, and Jack. Thank you so much for supporting this webinar. Please continue to pose your questions. Tell us what you have in mind. We'll go and we'll definitely go email directly Valerie or Heather, or maybe have a discussion with you one-on-one and talk to you more about it. But most importantly, right now, what we really want to encourage you, of course, is to go ahead and don't miss on this deadline. Apply. The FINRA Foundation Military Spouse Fellowship. It's open now. It's open all the way through the 15th. You have to really, of course, go over there, and I'm assuming you create a profile, look through the requirements before you start submitting, review the application just like any other, it's important documentation that you have to submit. Review everything in detail, and then, once you decide and you gather all of your documents, then start slowly submitting your profile, your your milestones, your things, everything that you needed in order for you to become a very successful top qualified candidate into this fellowship, because will be a rewarding career. So I will just wrap it up and stop talking. I just one last thing. Um, Anything last minute message you want to share with us, with our members? Valerie, Heather, anyone? I'll give you the floor.
Valerie, did you have something?
I'll just say it opens the door to so many things. For me, it opened additional education opportunities, career paths like jobs. So it really is a doorway to so many more things as well. And once again, I can't say it enough. I encourage you to apply. Don't take yourself out of the running by talking yourself out of it.
I love that.
Excellent. Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching and supporting. Again, watch the replay, post your comments, post your questions. We'll come back and make sure that you're all taken care of. And if you have any additional follow-up and questions in general or support that is not related to perhaps this webinar, please join our Blue Star Careers neighborhood. Make sure you meet us in the neighborhood, where you'll find all additional resources, samples, templates, anything you need in order to keep your military life going and making it awesome. So thank you so much for your support. We'll look forward to future webinars, as well as other segments and other employer spotlight. Thank you so much, Valerie and Heather, for supporting us today and for sharing this great opportunity. We'll look
Thank
forward
you,
to
Laura.
Thank
an updates.
you.
Thank you.